2 managers, 1 new contract and plenty of uncertainty. Is consistency and stability off the pitch the key to success on it?
Fulham 3, Tottenham 3.
I feel for every club and for every manager, technical stability is important for success. If you want to give a proper style of play, a culture of football to a club, you need a manager to be a long time, and you have examples like Ferguson at Manchester United to prove that.
Continuity is very important. Look at Man United, you know. They had probably not, when Alex started, it was not always 100%, but you know, they gave them time. He played with the younger kids, and he's there now for, what is it, 35 years? No, 18 or 19 years.
So, Wenger may prove to be Arsenal's best signing this season. Skipper Gilberto, showing his support for Arsenal's backed charity Treehouse recently, certainly agrees.
He knows the players very well, and the players know him very well and trust him. And it's important for all our players now that he stay to continue the job.
I feel I have a kind of responsibility towards these players, and I want to stand up for that.
Do you have a priority this season?
To come back as a contender in the Premier League and win it, and to do well in Europe.
Do you think that 4th spot realistically is punching above your weight?
Yeah, you always love it, you know, to talk about these sort of things, but it's about the schedule. If you lose your first 2 games like we did against Sunderland away in the last 10 seconds of extra time, and then Everton, and play Man United, Arsenal, Fulham away, which we haven't been for 40 years, but I still feel it's not only about 5 games, you know. So for me, it's the only thing is to get back to winning ways and to do better, because that is what our supporters deserve.
Joel's preparations for the North London derby haven't been helped by controversy surrounding defender Pascal Chimponda, arrested and bailed this week as part of a probe into football corruption. The club refused to comment. Spurs, meanwhile, haven't beaten Arsenal since 1999. They're usually feisty affairs, and given the situation with Joel, could it be the biggest game of his managerial career?
You guys ask me the question almost every 4 weeks, you know. But, Fulham was a very important game for us, you know, because we needed the points. Man United away, you told me the same before the Man United game. There's always pressure on everybody, because this is a big industry.
Tottenham is something, is a derby as well, and is history, and there's a bit more pressure around the game.
Have you shared a glass of wine after that little spat that you had on the touchline some time ago?
No, because I'm so busy with you guys all the time. every time when I go off for a glass of wine, he left.
Well, who knows, he might get his wish today. Well, we can speak to John Motson now, who's at White Hart Lane. Good afternoon, Motty.
Well, I think Martin Jol and Arsene Wenger have said it all, Manish, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Well, the kick-off's at 1:30, so an hour away now.
Yes.
What can you tell us?
Just got the team news. There was a lot said about Darren Bent and Aaron Lennon being fit again. They are, but they're both on the bench for Spurs. Neither of them starts. It's Keenan Berbatov up front, Malbranque and Gareth Bale in the wide positions for Tottenham. For Arsenal, Gilberto Silva plays in the back 4 because Senderos is suspended, and their front 2 are Van Persie and Adebayor. Eduardo is rested.
Well, everyone knows about the speculation surrounding Martin Jol. How big a game is this one today?
Well, the speculation's been going on exactly a month today, Manish. It doesn't seem to go away, does it? What I would just say to you is, if you look at the week ahead, Spurs are in Europe on Thursday night. They have been for the last 2 seasons, and the man who took them there was Martin Jol. And don't forget as well that as far as the Tottenham fans are concerned, and they're gathering in the stands as I speak, this game against Arsenal stands out really as the biggest of the season for them anyway. If Spurs could get a decent result today, I think it would take the heat out the situation considerably. Having said that, and Garth made a point about the history of this fixture, Arsenal haven't lost to Tottenham since 1999, as he said, but only lost once in the last 18 meetings, and Arsene Wenger has only been beaten once in 25 matches since he's been Arsenal manager by Tottenham, and that ironically was when George Graham was manager in 1999.
That's some stat. Motty, thanks very much indeed.
Goodison Park, goalless in the first 45 minutes. Everton against Manchester United. Still no break for Andy Johnson, who hasn't scored in the Premier League since way back in March. It's goalless as well in the game that's live on Sky Sports 1 right now, down at Fratton Park, Portsmouth against the current league leaders, Liverpool. Now, is this the day that Martin Jol breaks his Arsenal duck in the North London derby? Up to now, it's been the same old story every time for the Dutchman. It's always ended in frustration and disappointment after deceptively good starts.
Tottenham Hotspur with their highest hopes for years of winning this game. Tottenham lead Arsenal at White Hart Lane. It was a dream. King! And now there is real belief among those Tottenham fans. First blood to Spurs. The dream. You know they need to be followed. Standing ovation for Tottenham as they go off with a 1-0 lead.
For the 6th time in 9 North London derbies, Spurs have the lead.
Momentum Highbury hit back at White Hart Lane. It's a gift. Spurs have shot themselves in the foot not once, twice. It is Tottenham Hotspur 4, Arsenal 5. Robinson's lost it and Pires scores! I told you it was coming. I think Tottenham have asked for that. Adebayo's header sails into the top corner.
Spurs not beaten Arsenal in the last 15 attempts. Chris Kamara is at White Hart Lane to see if they can do so today. Afternoon, Chris.
Afternoon, Jeff.
Chris, do players get psychological blocks about certain fixtures?
Well, if you keep losing them, of course you do, Jeff. You always look for courses at times. There's certain grounds that you go to that you know you're going to get a result even before you step out, because that's the way it happens. But certainly, when you're playing against a side that's beating you most of the time, you fear. You know, there's no fear as far as the Arsenal dressing room's concerned today. They've started the season really well and they come here in good heart. As far as Spurs, we know all the problems they've had with the manager. Is he staying, is he going? And now those players out there have a chance to perform for him. And I suppose it doesn't matter how well they perform as long as they get a result.
Is that still the talk of White Hart Lane then, the manager's future? And if so, Chris, could you dip your toe in what the feeling amongst the fans is?
Well, the fans were on his side 100%, Jeff. And then when he lost those 2 goals against Fulham a couple of weeks back, there's a bit of disenchantment where all of a sudden they think, well, yeah, maybe he has taken us as far as he can possibly take us. And if they lose today, of course, this is the one fixture where they don't want to lose, Jeff. You know, they're local rivals for the next however long. It's bragging rights until the next game comes along, and they will, you know, if the manner of the defeat is, if it was to happen, not very good, then they would be in the same position as the board, and they would probably be calling for his head as well.
So do you sense that Martin Jol is still under real threat?
Oh, without a doubt, Jeff. Without a Jeff. I mean, there's too many rumblings for there not to be. You know, it's just a crazy situation when it happened the first time. You know, the problem with football clubs these days, they can't do anything on the quiet anymore. Everybody knows something. Somebody has to be told about something for it to happen. So once you go and meet somebody, it's in the public domain straight away. And as the manager, you know, all you can do is carry on and do your job if you're Martin Jol. But you know, at some stage, they're going to get you.
Important, I would guess, as well, from Martin Jol's point of view, Chris, to keep the senior players on side, if you like, which is mighty difficult when you've got the squad that they've got, and he has to leave Darren Bent on the substitutes bench, and Jermaine Defoe not involved at all.
No, that's right, Jeff. I think there are times as a manager, I know if you're Manchester United and you're the big four, let's talk about that, you can bring in as many top players as you want because you can roll them around, and they're always happy, they're comfortable. They're not happy because they're not playing, but they know their time's going to come, and when they get their opportunity, they'll stay in for a length of games. When you're a club like Spurs and you've got top players like Robbie Keane and Berbatov, to name those two, and you've got Jermaine Defoe as a bit part player, you then add to that Darren Bent for a mammoth amount of money, £16.5 million, then you're upsetting the apple cart straight away, because Robbie Keane or Berbatov know at some stage to get Defoe and Bent on, it has to be them who has to come off. And so you're losing players who are performing magnificently, and strikers, Charlie will tell you, strikers need to stay on the pitch. You know, when the defenders get tired towards the end of games, that's when they score most of their goals. But if they're not performing for 70 minutes, they send on the cavalry, and it's not a, you know, it's a situation when you're a Leicester club out of those big four that you don't really handle well.
OK, Chris, thanks very much indeed. It looks like it's going to be an intriguing afternoon. We'll be with you frequently, no doubt. Charlie Nicholas, how does Martin Jol carry on under these circumstances where before every game there's innuendo and speculation and rumour about his future?
Well, it's a manager's role, isn't it? And he's a strong character. I think we all have sympathy, even an Arsenal man like I and probably Merce, we have certain sympathy for Martin Jol, because there's no doubt he's done a very good job at the club. I wouldn't say it's a great job, but, you know, Spurs were in confusion for a long time, and he stabilised them. He's got them the last 2 seasons 5th. They should have been 4th the season before, but they bottled it. And I think it's certain situations, and I've said, you know, we've had Martin Jol debates plenty of times on this show, when I've said this isn't about the start of the season, this is a follow-on from last season. When Arsenal come from 2 down with the kids to get a result, when he doesn't pick Defoe often enough to have a go at the Arsenal. And I think it's mainly an Arsenal focus that gets there. The lack of progress in the FA Cup and things like that, Jeff. And the question marks are there. But he's a strong character. His demands of the players will not change, and he will continue doing it. The support of the fans helps, but I think long term it's not really the issue. The issue is results. It's a results business. And I generally think today, if Arsenal were to win, that Martin Jol would be waving goodbye.
As serious as that, then?
I think so.
With Alan McNally, you know, do you sense that the players are with Martin Jol?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I absolutely do.
Because a lot of people have read things into, you know, Robbie Keane being substituted, for instance, last week against Fulham, and his reaction, which was not that of a happy man.
No, I know that. I mean, Robbie doesn't want to finish the game. You know, he's in good goal-scoring form for his country. And, you know, he's been scoring goals for Spurs. He just doesn't want to come off. He doesn't want to be replaced.
When your manager's under threat, you know, that's what the reaction he wants to see.
To be honest, Martin should maybe have pulled him and say, look, you know, I want to win the game. I'm bringing on fresh legs. You know, you've done well for me, but the last thing I need you to do is react the way you're reacting. I mean, is he reacting the way because the fans will look at it and give it, yeah, good Robbie, you know, you don't want to come off, that's great. But he's sticking a knife into Martin Jol, isn't he? You really need your support. But I think in general, I think the players are for Martin Jol. I really do. I really, really do. I mean, I don't know whether it's unrealistic views that Tottenham have got. You finished 5th 2 years in a row. Hang on. You finished 5th 2 years. Yeah, exactly.
Got a drum roll for it.
Yeah.
Must have been good.
This is going to be really good. You finished 5th 2 years in a row, you know, and you've got the big four: Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man United. Is MD ever going to get into that upper echelons of the league? You know, it's, I mean, but for Tottenham, he's turned it round. Okay, maybe this year you just heard Cammy talking about spent £16.5 million on Bent. Maybe they're thinking, okay, that kind of money we're spending, we should be challenging in 5th. Really should be 4th, and 4th should be 36th.
Well, Martin Jol has said this week. I mean, Paul Merson, he said this week, there's not a big gap between Arsenal and Spurs now. Do you accept that?
No, there is. There is massive. I watched Arsenal the other week against Portsmouth. They were absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. If Arsenal play well today and Tottenham play well, Arsenal will win. There's no question about it. The pressure's on him, big time. Arsenal are a much better team than Tottenham. I'm surprised Tottenham was strong. Tottenham ain't struggle because I think they should have beaten
Arsenal are a much better team than Tottenham, but Tottenham have got the likes of Berbatov and Keane, you know, they can afford to have a £16 million man on the bench. They've got, you know, the England goalkeeper, you know.
No, they probably wouldn't.
Berbatov not one would be the only one who would get in the team, and Ledley King, if he's fit, would probably get in the job.
But he wouldn't play. Player, but
he's not better than Gallas. Sorry, he's not better than them two.
There's 2 players I would take for Spurs.
Aaron Lennon.
Not good enough. This is a problem with Spurs, Jeff, that you look at, and Martin Jol is doing a fine job. Some of his signings, I mean, you £16.5 million for
By the way, people watching, I should just point out, these are 2 Arsenal boys, so just take these views with a pinch of salt.
I did think Tottenham would be a threat this year. I really did think they'd be a threat, but a couple of injuries at the back, like no Ledley King, he ain't played for a while.
There's a gap. I don't think it's a massive gap.
It's not. No, it's not massive.
You know, you said it's a big gap. I don't.
If Arsenal play well, they're a much better team.
Well, can I just come back to the Robbie Keane thing there, just to have a look at that and the manager's position and whatever. And we're talking here about an experienced player in Robbie Keane, and he knows his manager's on. And I believe the majority of the players are with the manager. There's no need to do what Robbie Keane did there.
Yeah, but
He's,
Tom,
hey, listen, hold on a minute.
No.
Hey, young lads
I
and
don't
everything,
agree.
or whatever.
I don't agree.
You come off like that and there's plenty of places. There's loads of time after the game or the next day or whatever to go and say to the manager, I'm not happy with this. He does that. The manager's under pressure, miss. There's a bit of a difference here than a normal thing of coming off and there's such a game. He didn't need to do
but
it.
they're 3-1 up. He's a centre forward. They look like he's going to score a couple more goals. He's a centre forward. I'm with Cammy there. He wants to stay on. I know when he walks off after. I've done it a million times. You know, I've done it. You know,
I've all done it.
Yeah, we all do it. You won't do it because you're centre half. You won't get subbed.
Tom, hold on a minute. If you're a player and you're
3-1
up, and you're a striker and you want to keep your nose going for the old goals. Sorry to touch on noses, but with Robbie Keane, he's not thinking about his manager situation. He's thinking about getting himself another goal.
Oh, that's selfish for me.
Well, every striker, we're all selfish.
Selfish in the box. This is selfish being on the halfway line.
Well, I still think he's perfect to play anyway, because when Fulham are pushing forward, he drops off. I don't...
But he didn't... See, I'm all for, you know, when you watch the pictures, his original disappointment is there. But then even then, you know, OK, look, we're 3-1 up. You know, we want to go and do well. He then gives it one of them, doesn't he, with the band and all that. I mean, what's all that about? Seriously.
Yeah. Well, he's got his chance. He's got his chance to make amends today, hasn't he? Because he does start. And remember that no Defoe at all for Spurs today. Not in the 16, but Aaron Lennon is on the bench. There's it would also have been his 50th Premier League goal. So he's just got to wait a little longer for that. Well, perhaps a lot longer. Who knows? Now, September, no goals, by the way, I should tell you, in the game at Goodison Park, Everton against Manchester United, where they're well into the second half. Now, September the 16th, 1996, a red-letter day in Arsenal's history. Gunners fans didn't know it then, but the manager the club appointed would become one of their best ever. Arsene Wenger had a vision, which he's since turned into reality. It's changed the face of Arsenal, and some would say English football. So, what was his vision, and how has he put it into practice? Dickie Davis reports.
Bob Wilson was Arsenal's goalkeeping coach when Arsene Wenger was announced as the new manager exactly 11 years ago tomorrow. In the nicest possible way, when he arrived, he didn't look like the stereotypical manager. What did you think?
I was a little shocked, but then, you know, I come from an academic background, so it was like seeing my old school teacher. There's no doubt that the group of players who were here, who had already had great success under George, they looked at him and thought, what have we got?
I was nervous that a rather erudite Frenchman would find it difficult to control our rather unruly team. And I asked him that very question, and he said, well, I've actually never had any trouble with players.
Far from it. He not only got the best out of hardened campaign...
Arsene Wenger extended their careers by 2, 3, 4 years. Those guys acknowledge that.
Even Wenger admits that at first he underestimated the club's pulling power.
First time maybe where I realised how big the club is, the support of the club is when we moved to Wembley and played against AIK Solna in the Champions League, and people told me it was a sellout. I couldn't understand, and then I thought there's something happening here. Is it, do they like the Swedish team especially, or what? And then in the second game it was sold out again, so I realized that this club is much bigger than Highbury.
Oh, the good Lord.
The fans didn't realise at the time they were watching the start of something rather special.
Yes, the good life lets you hide all the sadness you feel.
Whether it's helping the likes of Kanu or taking players with potential like Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira and turning them into world beaters, or picking the finest young talent from around the world. From the very start, he just had the knack of getting the very best out of players.
It was an amazing thing to watch, almost like, you know, the penny dropping, but the penny dropped very quickly. It wasn't a puzzle. It was within days of him getting through to them about the importance of stretch routines, the importance of blood taking, the importance of you know, the scientific approach. You know, he's a great thing about his timing with the outfield players. We will do this for 8 minutes, 32.2 seconds. And believe you me, 8 minutes, 32.2 seconds, they go, whoosh, finished.
7 trophies, 2 doubles, some incredible players. But what does the man himself regard as his finest achievement?
The biggest pride maybe is to be a whole season unbeaten. Because then you never know how good you are, but you know there's not much room for improvement when you have done a season like that.
He even scoured the world, checking out new ideas for the Emirates Stadium.
This is the life work of somebody who has something special about him. When we used to be getting changed, it was an absolute eye-opener that he would come in the morning and he would change into his training gear, and suddenly the phone would start going. And it would be, you know, good morning, except it would be in French, ça va bien, and then the phone would go down, deal with the French call, and then it would come up, and then it was the Italian, and then it was the Spanish, and then it would be the Japanese.
The pair were back together this week to launch The Opus, a book celebrating everything Arsenal. The first copy is being auctioned for Bob's charity, in memory of his daughter Anna, who died of cancer.
If there is a dark side to Arsene, it's cloaked in, you know, one of the great humanitarians. Believe you me, you know, some of the areas that I have seen, his support for me, you know, as I lost a daughter. Amazing.
The sale of Henri was a big blow, but the one person they really couldn't afford to see go was Wenger, and now the contract is signed.
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, I think that everything that the club is achieving at the moment is due to him, and he's been, I think, probably the greatest manager in the history of the club.
I'm at the stage of my career now where I do not want to be associated with anybody else.
Which is music to every Arsenal fan's ears.
OK, let's discuss Arsene Wenger in 3 minutes, 34.2 seconds. Paul Merson, now, first, are you surprised that he's agreed to the new deal, bearing in mind, you know, the speculation when Thierry Henry left and then David Dean left the club?
I think the start of the season's helped. I think the way they've started the season, the way they were in pre-season, I think he's seen enough to think, you know, this team will get better and better. I think if they'd have had a bad start, or the other teams were flying, but Bob Wilson's spot on. We used to train, he'd say 10 minutes, 8v8, and it'd be 1-1, and he'd go stop, and we go, yeah, winning goal. We go, no, finished. You know, it was honestly, it was.
Did you not find that frustrating?
Oh yeah. Oh, not many. God, not many. It was just to drive you up the wall. But it was like, it was absolutely different class. I mean, you look at Steve Bowles doing very well at Arsenal youth team. Tony Adams is coach at Portsmouth. You know, you'd have bet your life them two would have never been involved in football. You know, they virtually never had a clue about the game, to be fair to them. Honestly, you say to Tony Adams, he'll say, who'll be playing this week? You go, Everton. And you go, name 5 players. He wouldn't know them. He wouldn't have a clue. And like, you know, but he brought all the best out in them. You know, the blood test, the injections, everything like that. He was so thorough. And when we used to go away with England, we used to do these stretches like the players, the Arsenal lads. And all the other lads were fascinated by him. They were fascinated, and they all joined in. And he was different. Like, you know, Ray Parlour used to call him.
People were sceptical at the start.
Oh yeah, when he came in, Ray Parlour used to call him Clouseau. You know, he talked like Peter Sellers in Inspector Clouseau. But he had Mats out, and he had us doing things. But he was great. Honestly, he was great. You know, we lost to Wimbledon one day, 1-0. You know, George had been the manager. You imagine what it was like then. We lost 1-0, and he come and he went, "Okay, that's enough." And all the lads are going, you know, Tony's thinking, go on, have a go then. What can I say? You lost.
Was that French?
French? Sort of. I can't even talk English. How am I going to do French?
Fantastic. 11 years at the club, though, Charlie, and people might, you know, wonder why he stayed so long. But I suppose, you know, where else would he have such freedom, and where else would he have such influence?
Exactly. That's the whole point. And I've never had the doubt. Arsene Wenger, it seems to be every 3 years everybody says, why has he not signed this contract? Why has he not done this? Why has he not done that? He doesn't take it to the wire on purpose to say, oh, you know, I'm going to create another image or take him for another few bob. It's not about that. It's about the structure that he's set up. From '96, he's taken it on board and he's went right through the card. He's developed his stadium. I don't even think it's anything to do with the start of the season. It's been encouraging. But I had high hopes for the season anyway. But I think what he's did is that he's looked at where else can he go that would be better than that? And I think Arsene's in the past has spoke maybe to become an international manager, probably of France, and I think that could become available. But in the standings of what he's done domestically to Arsenal is incredible, because I speak a lot, especially to Tom, about this. Because somebody like Liverpool's won the Champions League 5 times, Man United a couple of times, there's other clubs obviously have won it in England, and Arsenal haven't won that. That great tag is still missing. But somehow or another, Arsene Wenger's made Arsenal a great club without winning that trophy, and that's a remarkable skill.